Alright, so these antivirals are going to be specific to the virus that they protect you from. A lot of your influenza antivirals are going to be prophylactic, which means you have to take them before you get the flu. This is for people who have immune systems or possibly can't get the flu vaccine for whatever reason. A couple of these, like Tamiflu, this one is FDA approved to take even after you get the flu, but only for like the first 3 days after you get the flu. It inhibits the neuraminidase, which is needed to clean off the glutenin so it can then enter another cell, right? This one is also Relenza, is cleared for treatment after you get the flu. Most of these are, though, before you get it prophylactically. Then we will talk about RSV. This is respiratory syncytial virus. There is a black box warning on this. So RSV, potentially fatal in children. In adults, it kind of comes off like a cold, but in kids it could be potentially deadly. And so ribavirin is the only drug, the only antiviral that we have for RSV, and not for use in adults. So if you get RSV as an adult, one, it's not too bad, and so don't worry about it. But for kids, it is fatal, and so there's a drug for them. And adults, if you take it, it can decrease your respiratory function, and so you really need to monitor it closely in the kids too. Our antivirals for the herpes simplex virus, you have Zovirax, which inhibits the DNA replication. For genital herpes, either initial or chronic, also herpes zoster, shingles, and chickenpox, varicella. Abreva inhibits the viral fusion into your healthy cells, and is used for cold sores, herpes labius. Famvir inhibits the viral DNA replication, again for genital herpes, for recurrence and suppression, and also for shingles. Herplex inhibits the viral DNA synthesis, blocking the incorporation of thymidine, and this is for herpes simplex carotis. Denavir, Viroptix, Valtrex, all these work for herpes labius, herpes simplex, genital herpes, herpes zoster, and chickenpox. And so they inhibit the viral DNA replication, synthesis, replication for Denavir, synthesis for Vioptic, and Valtrex is the replication. Then for your cytomegalovirus, we see Foscavir inhibits the viral replication, stops pyrophosphate from binding on the DNA. This is for immunocompromised patients. All these are for people who have AIDS or HIV or are immunosuppressed for some reason. This is a very opportunistic infection, and so it's only going to be severe in people that have suppressed immune systems. And so here are the drugs. They help to suppress that. And that's the thing that you see with a lot of HIV is there are a ton of opportunistic infections. Fungal infections in the lungs, pneumonia tend to be the things that kill people who have AIDS. So antivirals for HIV, monotherapy is not recommended. You need to have multiple drugs on board because it mutates super quickly. It can develop drug resistance really quickly. And as it does it, like one group can develop drug resistance against one drug, while another group develops drug resistance against another drug. And so if you have multiple drugs on board, hopefully if one becomes resistant to one, the other one's going to knock it out. If this one becomes resistant to the other one's going to knock it out. And so here are just a handful of the HIV drugs. There's a lot of them out there. but they kind of fall into these different groups where you inhibit the viral DNA replication by interfering with the viral reverse transcriptase. So reverse transcriptase inhibitors, like you see in Videx. You inhibit the viral fusion, like in Fusion. One way to stop it, is to inhibit the CCR5. On your T cells, you're going to have two receptors. You have a CD4 and then a CCR5. And for HIV virus to get in, it kind of links up with both of those and then enters the cell. And so you can stop the fusion either by the CD4s or by the CCR5 inhibiting. Then Caraxavan inhibits the HIV proteases. Envirase inhibits HIV proteases. And then Retrovir, this is an NRTIA. So we have NRTIs and NRTIs, and they're just nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. And so they just stop the transcriptase from writing itself into your own DNA. Modes of action. So pretty much all these, you have three things, right? You stop the virus from getting in the cell. You don't let it replicate when it's in the cell. Or you stop it from exiting the cell. So with your HIV drugs, here you can see three of them that stop the virus attachment. In the flu, the things that block the hemagglutinin docking proteins will stop it from getting into. Here you can see stopping the uncoating, blocking the nucleic acid synthesis, so blocking them from replicating, right? And then you can block the release, and here are those ones that block the release. And that's it for antivirals.